Hello guys! Did you have a nice weekend? I hope so. Today we are going to review certain grammatical aspects of English language. For example, question tags. Okay. Question tags are short questions that are added to affirmative sentences to expect the agreement of their speaker, agreement or disagreement. For example, if we have this sentence, she's tired or she isn't tired, right? Here we have affirmative sentence. When we want to express or ask about the agreement or disagreement, we say, she's tired, isn't she? This is a question tag, and is she is another question tag. It's translated in Spanish like, es verdad, no es verdad, this type of a question. When the verb in the affirmative sentence is when the verb in the main sentence is affirmative, the question tag is negative. And when the verb in the sentence is negative, the question tag is positive, okay? Negative question tag expects a positive answer, while positive question tag expects a negative answer. Only try to express certain feedback between the speaker and the listener. In the case, the question tag is always made up with the auxiliary of the main clause. For example, if we have a modal verb, she can study. In the case, in the question tag, we use the auxiliary can. Can't she? If we have a present tense, she studies, the question tag is with the auxiliary. Doesn't she? Okay, here we have a present, and here we use the auxiliary of the present, okay? If it's a past sentence, we use a past auxiliary. She studied, didn't she? In this case, we use a past auxiliary. Always the same. The modal verb, we use the same modal verb. The auxiliary, we use the auxiliary. If we have, for example, a present perfect, she hasn't studied, for instance. The question tag we use has she, okay? We always use the auxiliary related to the main clause. Therefore, question tags are very common mainly in spoken language rather than in written language. Like in Spanish, this type of coletillas are used to get agreement or disagreement with the speaker, or to be aware if the speaker is listening to you or not, okay? Well, other aspects we are going to review are the adverbs of frequency. Adverbs of frequency or frequency adverbs, it's the same, okay? Which one do you think that are the most important adverbs of frequency? Well, the main ones should be always, never, seldom, usually, often, rarely, sometimes, and more. These adverbs indicate the frequency of the action. The position of these adverbs is very important. Adverbs of frequency are usually placed after the verb to be. For example, he is always reading. In this case, the adverb always is placed after the verb to be. But normally, adverbs of frequency are placed before the main verb. For example, he often plays football. Okay? In this case, the adverb of frequency is placed before the verb. This is the most important position of adverbs of frequency. In negative sentence, it's written, he doesn't often play football. The adverb of frequency is always placed before the main verb. In this case, between the auxiliary and the main verb. Okay? Never is an auxiliary that means nunca. Therefore, it cannot be placed in negative sentence. For example, we say, he never goes to the cinema, but we cannot say, he doesn't never go to the cinema. It's a very common mistake, but it is not possible because in English double negation is not possible. Never has a negative meaning, and therefore we don't add an auxiliary with the adverb never. This negation is not possible. With modal verbs, the situation is more or less the same. If we say, for example, he can sometimes play football. In this case, the auxiliary is placed before the verb. Always this position, except this is the most important exception with the verb to be. Okay? Before the verb, in all cases, double negation is not possible, and after the verb to be. These are the most important characteristics of adverbs of frequency. Finally, we are going to review pronouns. Pronouns in English. Personal pronouns function as a subject, Which ones? I, you, he, she for feminine, he for masculine, it for animals of things, we, you, and they. These are the most important pronouns of English language. I refers to the first person singular, you refers to the second singular, he, she, it, male, female, or them, and the plural forms, we, when we refer to we, us, you, and they. This should be the plural forms. All the position of these personal pronouns is subject in the sentence. For example, I opened the door. In this case, I is the subject of the sentence. In English, the subject should be always indicated in a sentence. The subject is never omitted. It doesn't happen like in Spanish, in which we can create sentence with subject. In English, this is not possible. Other group of pronouns are personal pronouns when they function as a direct object. Personal pronouns, okay? Object, for example, should be me, you, him, her, it, us, you, and them. These are again personal pronouns, but in this case, they don't function as the subject of the sentence. They function as the object of the sentence. For example, I gave him a book. The pronoun I is the pronoun function as the subject, and him is the pronoun function as the object. We cannot say I gave he a book. It's not possible because he, in this case, is the object of the sentence, an indirect object in this case, and not a subject. Only these pronouns can function like the subject of the sentence, while these ones can function as the object of a sentence, direct or indirect object, both possibilities. Okay, and the last aspect we are going to deal with are reflexive pronouns. Reflexive pronouns are myself, yourself, himself, herself, itself, ourselves, yourselves, and themselves. Right? This indicates that the action is performed and received by the same person. For example, I cut myself. In this case, in Spanish, we say me corté, while in English, they use a reflexive pronoun. It means that I do the action and me, the same person, receive the action, okay? The action of cutting and receiving the cutting, it's the same. It's what is called a reflexive pronoun. Another example, he injured himself, the same. In this case, we have himself and he. He performed the action and he receives the action. Me lastimé, or él se lastimó should be in English. Right? This is the most important characteristic of reflexive pronouns in English. Right? Okay, this is all for this lesson. Next day we will study more grammatical aspect of English language, but we should never forget to practice all these grammatical aspects in order to learn them and to use them properly, okay? Well, see you next day. Bye-bye.